Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry. I love that you just said sabbatical, that you're on a sabbatical.
Yeah, I'm actually on, I've only done this one other time where Jimmy goes on the 8-day fishing trip and I go to San Diego and I stay by myself. Usually I will bring somebody. I brought my trainer, I brought my sister, I brought my friends, all the things. But I thought about this time and I thought, I need to be alone. I just need to be alone, do the things I want to do. You should see the side of my bed. You and I always compare Jimmy and Adam bed when they're not here. I have a Bond Charge infrared sauna blanket. I have an infrared sauna mask, which I can't get to work. I have to reach out to the company. I have my computer. I have paperwork. I have the remote in case I want to watch something.
I love it. Yep. It's the best feeling.
It is. But here's my aha. I struggle if I'm not working.
Yep.
I realize that even though I think I'm good at taking time off, I am, but it's almost like I start to feel guilty if I'm not working. And I'm like, Linda, when's the last time you took a whole freaking week and you didn't do anything? And it's like, okay, where's this coming from? I either do that, I either start feeling guilty about that. And I have worked the 3 or 4 weeks before this, I killed myself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were in the region, you were in Austin, you met with all the things. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, where's this coming from? And if I don't do that, the other thing I do is I start feeling guilty about who in my close relationships I haven't connected with. And I'm like, this is, I think I need to call my therapist while I'm here. And
maybe you should have brought your therapist this time.
Next time the therapist is coming, because I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. And every time I feel it coming on, I'm like, okay, Linda, this stems from somewhere, maybe I need more EMDR around this, but it's like, okay, it's okay to take a week and not serve or help someone else for a week. Right. But it's really weird. So I really wrote that down to be my next topic when I talk to my therapist. But anyway, I'm getting a lot of good stuff done, a lot of YouTube watching, which I'm not really sure what I'm getting out of it, but I'm doing a lot of YouTube watching. I'm eating nothing but meat, so I'm just getting in meat all week. I've been to the gym every day.
Are you still doing carnivore?
Still doing carnivore.
Wow.
But I'm so bummed because my body just does not want to let go of weight. It just like, no, I'm hanging on. I don't care what you do. I'll drop a little bit and then I get stuck. So I'm kind of stuck right now. But I'm walking to the beach every day, which is so healing.
Yeah.
They have a cold plunge, which is frigid at the gym. And I've done that every day. But I swear to God, I usually can do 3 minutes. I can't even do a minute in this thing. It's so cold.
Wonder what the temp is on that one.
It's like 40 something, but I do 52 at home. And I can 3 minutes. I can't stay in this one a minute. It's nuts.
Wow. I would say that temperature difference you'd feel it for sure.
Yeah. So this afternoon, I'm going to do a little shopping therapy. See if that helps.
That'll help, I'm sure.
That helps. But, okay. So you and I are going to talk today a little bit about, I wanted to kind of do a recap on the Paul thing. And it's kind of funny because I always think how complicated the Bible sounds. And by the way, thank you for my book. Yes, I've about finished it. I love it.
Isn't it so good? I knew you would love it. We're having him. He's in September, I think, sometime. But he's awesome.
So did John Maxwell have him?
Okay, so this is crazy. This is a longer story than what we have on here, but he's been in John's world. John just mentors him, but I'm telling you, like, that's why I got my hands on that book as fast as I could. And I sent that book to like everybody that I love and care about. Cause I'm like, he has got favor. Dave does. Like, it is wild. I mean, he met John and John just, kind of fell in love with him. And he's such a likable guy. You're going to love him. Oh my gosh. He's hilarious. He's so great. but he said that John just said he just wanted to pour into him. And so John will call Dave now and say, hey, I'm flying here. Do you just want to ride on the plane with me and we can catch up and then fly back home, or whatever. And if Dave can, he does. But I just met him through that high capacity group. And I don't think he ever did exchange, but he's done a lot of John's those roundtables and the different countries trips and all that stuff. But he is I just love it. I mean, that's where I highlighted every word in that book, because I pray a lot, but I don't ever I never previously prayed specifically for favor. You know what I mean? And and my mom has always said my whole life, most people would say something and you've probably heard this too, everything you touch turns to gold or something like that. And I don't really I think that that's God's favor on us. Yes. And it could be that someone else maybe generationally prayed for us or whatever. But either way, now I'm just finding myself really praying for favor in those specific things that he talks about. Because kind of like you said, you were struggling. I pray a lot for other people, not that much for myself. I mean, sometimes I do if something's going on, you know what I mean? Or somebody something like that. But I don't know. And so now I'm it's kind of switched my mindset. So I'm anxious to have him on and talk to him. But I read that book in a day and a half. And I was this is so good.
Well, it's funny. I've often said, which we're not here to talk about the book. So let's see if we can get him on the podcast.
No, he's coming. We already booked him. He's on September.
All right, then let's don't talk about his stuff, because I could talk a million minutes about his thing. Let's wait and do that when we'll have him, and then we'll talk about his afterwards.
Yep. Okay.
But let's talk about Paul, because I think there's some similarities here.
Oh yeah.
So I thought through and I thought, gosh, this stuff is so big. But I think one of the things that going either to the Holy Land or walking the footsteps of Paul or doing something like that is so beneficial. Because we can sit here at home where we are, and the Bible and the Word can seem so far away.
Yeah.
And so not being able to understand it until you're standing in the places. And then you're oh my gosh. I mean, the reality, the things that start to hit you after you've been there, or how real something feels when you're standing in those places. And a lot of them have actually been carbon dated to be exactly what they say they are. And just,
wow.
So that was super impactful, because it helped. I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
So I need to feel and touch and see and, and then think through. I need to go back and read the books that are about Paul, because I think it would really make even more sense. But one of the things that kind of came up, because it's kind of been a theme lately for me, I've had so many leaders struggling with being leaders, and, just thinking, when do you give up? When do you not give up? Why do some give up and some don't? And I thought about John and I thought about Paul.
Yeah.
Paul didn't give up. And when you think about the scope of the territory that he covered, and, we're talking about across the ocean, and we're not talking about on the luxury yacht that we were on.
Yeah.
We're talking about rough life to do what he did.
Yeah.
But to be so committed to it. So the common theme that I saw through what John teaches and what Paul taught is how you compound time, money, and influence is not by doing it yourself, but it's doing it through talented people. No one, how Gary always says, no one succeeds alone.
Yeah.
You can see this in Paul's story also.
Yeah.
One of the big ideas that came up is have a big dream, and go out, but without great people, you have no shot.
Yeah.
And so I think to have any kind of big dream come to life, you're going to have to do it through people. And that's where I'm seeing so much fatigue right now, is through our leaders that are leading fatigued people. Right. And so I think under anger is fear. So when people are angry and they, reach out or they abandon you, whatever the things that they do, that you're a leader, it's all because they've got fear and anxiety. Right. And so we don't see that until it actually blows up. He also talked in here that if you can accomplish it on your own, the dream's not big enough.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Accomplish it on your own. And the guy we had, I can't remember his name, but he actually studied, his whole study was all about Paul.
Wow.
So he really knew all the material inside out. And then John also put his input. But he said influence follows years of sustained success.
Mm.
So you don't get to be the influential person until you've really done years of sustained success in a category.
Yep. I love that. Yep. I love that.
Bigger world needs bigger people, and it needs more influence.
Mm-hmm.
And just pray that God bring me the people, bring me winners who are bigger, faster, and stronger. But just pray that God brings those people into your life. He said, stop asking, what do I want? And ask, what do the people need? That is huge, because I think a lot of times we're just trying to think of it through the lens of what do I want to accomplish, or what am I trying to do, instead of saying, what do the people really need?
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
He said, you can't be in a place where you're just trying to survive. Trying to survive won't do it. Paul didn't have to survive, not something you have to have. You have to have leverage to be able to do it. You can't just be in survival mode.
Mm-hmm. Linda, that is so true. I'm just sitting here thinking, because, I just had, I'm 60 days in with our new team leader in the Kentucky office, Dylan, and he's just such a great person. But I was telling Adam, there's so many things. For like almost 4 years, like I've prayed over and over and over for the right person for the role for that office, because you and I have talked about this, and I can't do other things until I find somebody great there. But people were so attached to me there because I started that office, and there, which is fine, and I love them all. But it's like having him in there now has been such an answered prayer, because he's really what they need. Truthfully, like I'm not really what they need anymore. He's really what they need. And it's just been so cool to watch, even in the last 2 months, and the success that he's having is like unreal. But it's so true, because it's like, even when you were just saying, hold on, let me go back, about the compounding stuff. Like I was kind of stagnant there, and I needed something to continue to like push me to keep to having that office continue to compound and grow and grow and grow. And really, it's been about the missing who the entire time. The entire time, just the right leader. Yeah.
Well, I remember years ago, anytime I had a real struggle, Gary would always say, you're one great hire away. You're one great hire away. And you just answered something for me. The leaders that I've really, watched struggle over the last few months, one of the things that Paul had, and it talks about it over and over, is he had resolve. I think you have to be so committed to the dream that when it doesn't feel like it's going to work, you don't quit. You just pray.
Yep.
Send me the person that can lead this office, right?
Yeah.
And I think so many times the easier thing to do is give up.
Yep.
Rather than say, okay, I know I'm one great hire away. What am I doing today to move closer to that person that the people need? And I always think about Denton was kind of that market center for us. It was like, in the beginning, it was us, all about us. And then we had to move people in, and we kept making the wrong hires, and just all the things.
Yeah.
Denton is our test of resolve, and just the things you have to go through and be so committed that you don't quit, even though when I don't know where this person is. I don't know how I'm going to find them, or if they're even going to show up. But I think the resolve is the biggest lesson with Paul. He had such resolve. I don't care how hard, how far he had to walk, how far he had to travel to do what he did. And even knowing when bad stuff was headed for him, it just didn't move his resolve at all. And I think sometimes we're just not committed enough to whatever the thing is.
Yep.
That we're willing to stick it out no matter what. One of the things that John said is, you can't moan and lead at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And there's a lot of leaders moaning right now. Truthfully. And we're in a hard time in our industry, but it's not like the worst thing that's ever happened or the worst time. And there's just a lot of people are moaning, I feel like.
Yeah. Leaders should brighten and lighten people's life. Without Christianity, life and death has no meaning, purpose, or joy. You can't live for yourself and for Jesus at the same time. You have to die to yourself for Christ. No need to survive. Just survive. Really just kind of thinking about and being willing to kind of surrender to whatever the big thing is that God has for you, and being able to have the courage, and I think when I think about John, think about how, okay, so first of all, his hip was killing him so bad on the cruise.
It was just killing him in Orlando too. I mean, he was really struggling.
And he went straight from there to Romania.
Yep.
Then he went and did your thing in Orlando. I get a text from Megan a couple of days ago and says, "Hey, can you put in a word for me with John?"
He's in Indianapolis. Yeah.
He's in Indianapolis. And I'm thinking, that's almost superhuman.
Yeah.
You cannot do that unless it was a plan built by God, for God, through you. There's just no freaking way.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, when we don't have the resolve, if we're not kind of given in to something so big that you just, when the rest of the world looks at you, they go, there's no way.
Yeah.
You'd have to be a superhuman to do what he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I mean, I feel like that is spot on. And I feel like there's some other people. I mean, truthfully, like, I always felt like that about Mo too. I mean,
true.
I mean, she's another one. It's like, you're just kind of like, golly, how does she keep going and keep doing it and keep doing it? But she has such a resolve in what she's doing and what she's, talk about sustained success. I mean, she's kind of another one that's had that too.
Yeah. He kept talking about the survive part, and I really didn't understand it, but I think sometimes he says, when you have to survive, things that matter are the things that matter to God. So, so thinking about survival, when you're only in survival, I think that's when you're willing to give up. If you're like past survival into this kind of superhuman goal that you feel like you've been called to, I think you're not just surviving.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have hard times no matter what, but I think the way they affect you are completely different.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You don't start thinking, I just want to get out of this. I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. Right. I think what you do is you just kind of like what Gary talked about with all of his trouble stuff. You just go, okay, this is part of it. And you just keep being anti-fragile, because the goal is so much bigger than you that you kind of have to lean on God a little bit. I think when we're surviving, we're leaning on ourselves. I have to do this. I have to do that. Instead of saying, God, you do that. You bring me a person. You help me through this. Help me figure out, what am I doing wrong, or what I need to do different.
Yeah. Well, I just saw this like little meme pop up on Instagram a couple of days ago, and I wish I would have screenshotted it, but I didn't. And I can't remember exactly what it said, but it said something like, we need more people that are so firm in their foundation with their faith that like the outside noise and world isn't swaying them one way or the other. Like, they're just firm, and all this other stuff is happening around you, but you're not like, swaying over here and then swaying, like your resolve is firm. And I thought, gosh, that's so good. And that's exactly what you're saying about Paul.
Yeah. He said the five survival specs are this. 1, you need affirmation. You want people to like you. 2, you're in competition. You don't freely give to others so that they can win. And you kind of come from a place of, you have to win, so they have to lose. So those are the kind of 2 things to look for to identify whether you're in survival or whether you're in kind of a big dream that only you and God can do together.
Do you think that those kind of like come with maturity though? Or I'm just thinking through, because I don't know, like I just look at over even the last 10 years for me, it's changed so much. Like I can remember 10 years ago, and you would probably say this too, but I wanted to win, but I also wanted people to like me. So then I would kind of like pull back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And now, maybe just even over the last 4 or 5 years, like I feel like, but also I feel like I have grown even so much deeper in my faith. But it's like I don't even think about that anymore because I just am so focused on what God's plan is for me that like that doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what other people, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if that's like maturity or if it's like a growing in your faith thing or all of the above.
Yeah, maybe all the above. The third one was recognition. He wanting people to look up to you.
Mm-hmm.
God said, let me show you what I can do. He says first, he was saying, instead of saying, let me show you what I can do, let God show you what he can do. Right.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
my favorite guy kind of says that in his book too.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Several times. And then satisfaction, wanting to arrive, just wanting to get to a certain place.
Yeah.
Pay now and play later. And instead do hard things now so that you can do harder things later, not to do easy things later.
Oh, I love that.
Four, and then 5 is control. You want having to be in charge. So these are kind of the specific things that will show up if someone's just in survival mode.
Yep, I love that, and that makes total sense too.
Yeah.
I like that harder things thing because I mean, it doesn't ever really get, I mean, there's always hard things. Like it doesn't really matter. It's not that your life doesn't really get easier. I mean, there's always going to be hard things, but I guess if you're doing the hard things now, then the harder things later don't seem as hard.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was really good because I feel like when you go there and you see the kind of structures that those people built without technology.
Yeah.
And, they were, of course, more firsthand with everything. We're so far removed that it's kind of sometimes hard for us. But even like the structures in Ephesus would take years and years and years to build. And yet the lifespan of a guy was only 27 and the lifespan of a girl was 24.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So you think, man, that had to take generations and generations because some of these structures are still standing and they would be hard to build today.
Wow.
So it was pretty amazing.
Did you get any time with one of my favorites, Chris Hodges? I mean, I just love to learn from him so much.
Yeah, he did a section. I'll have to find the notes from his. I love Chris too. He's got such a good heart.
He does.
Yeah.
So smart. Biblically, like, oh my gosh, he is so smart.
Yeah, I'll have to find his lesson. He did give a really good lesson on one of the last days. I'll go back and try to find the notes from that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll have to send them to me. I love him.
Yep. You can't get enough Chris. So anyway, that's kind of the thing with Paul. The other aha was it felt good to be around a bunch of other believers.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we miss sometimes is we don't really.
Yep.
In our own fault, right? I noticed the other day when I'm on a carnivore program, and I thought, how cool is this? After she does the coaching call, the ones that want to stay on, we stay on and pray.
Yeah, I love that.
Maybe we're not creating that environment ourselves. We're longing for it, but I think sometimes you got to step up and be the creator of it because if you are needing it, other people are probably needing it also. But
yeah,
it felt
so true
to be around a bunch of 100 and something other Christian entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
and see that they can have very successful businesses and God be the center of it.
Yeah, I love that. That's my favorite thing about that high capacity group. Hands down, that's my favorite thing about it. It feels good. You're exactly right. It totally feels good. And it's just uplifting. Like everybody kind of, uplifts each other and prays for each other. I don't know. It was great. I love it.
Yeah. I think with the lessons from Paul, I think with how it relates to what we're doing in the real estate business right now is number one, I think when things get hard is when we tend to go to God more, that we might need to hit our knees a little bit and just say, God, help me be a leader through this. Help me to thrive through this. Help me to help my people through this. Right. Because I think when it gets hard, is sometimes it's hard because I think God knows that's the only way to get us to our knees is to really just
so true.
Have no other place to go. But I think the other thing too is just be willing to pray be able to do something so amazing that everybody around you knows there's no way you could do that without God's help.
Yeah.
John says that all the time. He says, I want to do things so big that the world can only say the only way John could do this is with God.
Yeah, he definitely is. 100%.
Yeah. So I don't know where we're going next. I don't know if there's I didn't even know there was such a thing as the Footsteps of Paul that you could take. So I'm sure there's other trips.
Yeah, I'm definitely not missing the next one. So 100%. I mean, Adam and I are like, I had the worst FOMO on this one too. I'm like, but there's no telling. I mean, he just does the best trips.
Yeah. And I want to go to Israel again. So maybe that'll be our next trip.
Yeah.
I don't know, whenever all the craziness stops there. So
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
so good. So good. I took tons of notes.
Have a great trip in New York, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.